Hey guys, my name is DividableHalo, and welcome back to another interview. Today we are joined by Kingswell from the clan Imperuim.
Imperium.
Imperium. Oh my God, so messy. All right, so we're joined by Kingswell from the clan. Oh, okay. We're just gonna, you say it. All right.
Imperium.
Imperium. All right, there. All right, so today we'd like to welcome Kingswell to the interview. A lot of people have been suggesting it all over Facebook and across my videos, so here he is today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing really swell. All
That's
right,
good.
so we're going to ask you a few questions, and hopefully we'll get all the answers out and everybody's pleased. So when did you first join the Halocline community?
My first steps within the Halocline community would have to be back in the early years of 2011. And when I say this, I'm not saying I was known like the United Union Federation or the United Nations. I mean, well, the United Union, I should say, when it was that. But I was more of like one of those smaller clans that was starting up at the time. As a matter of fact, I didn't actually start leading my clan until it was after a revolt that occurred, which is what I'll explain now. So when Halo Reach came out, and after 2010, the early 2011, I met a guy named Samurai Tyler 13. He was telling me, "Hey, starting up this little clan organization. Are you in a clan? Do you want to be part of it?" I said, "Well, this is interesting. What's a clan?" He informed me about them, all that they do, and I was really interested in about it. So I decided to make my own clan, and at first it was called the King Clan. The emblem was just the Skull King, and we were all ODST armor, and we were supposed to be like a guard clan for these other clans when meetings were happening, which didn't really happen at all. We were just those guys that were there thinking they were a clan, but really we were just a group of friends dressed up in the same armor and emblem and colors. No ranking structure, no training sessions, nothing like that. This was like the basic shell towards my clan career to where I am now. And so Samurai Tyler, he made this clan organization alongside his co-leader Lethal Force, and it was called the UNCO, which is the United Nations Clan Organization. It had nothing to do with United Nations. However, Samurai Tyler had some friends within the UN at the time, but nothing ever. There was no relations between the United Nations and this UNCO government, is what he called it. So a few months go through, and we're having a good time. More clans are joining. We're having these clan battles, and the clan battles I'm referring to were the classic team-based red versus blue or green versus brown, separate spawn points, and it was just those unfair maps, like eight sniper rifles, Spartan lasers, spawn killing up the wazoo, just like the really early stages of the clan era. And eventually, many of these clan leaders started leaving because they began to notice a change within Samurai Tyler, and I began to notice it too. He started to get power hungry, and he officially, everybody knew this because he had kicked out his co-leader, and he wanted the entire thing for himself. He wanted to control all these clan leaders and the government, wanted to make sure everybody was under his rule. Well, I did not like this because I wanted to, try and lead my clan, get a feel for how leading a clan was. And a lot of people were upset with this as well. So I went around telling everybody about this idea. I'm like, well, who here doesn't like Samurai Tyler, what he's doing right now? And a lot of people, around 42 people, were angry with it. So we all agreed we started up a rebellion. Samurai Tyler found out about this, of course, and he was questioning me. It's like, well, we're getting complaints about you starting a rebellion. Well, I lied to him, saying that there wasn't, but more people came in saying, oh, yeah, he is. So eventually before I left, I said the rebellion will rise. And it did. So around 20 members out of the original 42, because some of the people are like, oh, I don't want to do this, so I'm just going to play the game for fun. So this rebellion went on against Samurai Tyler, and surprisingly, it was a success, a major success. And once again, we didn't have any sort of like ranking structure. We didn't have any training sessions. We were what you would see as a standard rebellion. People who were very unskilled in the game, who wore the same colors, and our service tag was even REBL for Rebel. And our clan tag, our clan ID or emblem, was the skull and crossbones with the sprocket in the back. And there's a lot of history with that emblem, and I'll get through that later on. But So this rebellion went on, and eventually we actually won this. I guess you could call it a war, which was only about 2 weeks against Samurai Tyler, because eventually we had more people joining this rebellion, thinking it was a clan, and we were just beating him to the ground. And then he left, joined the United Union, and I've spoken with Century Director some time ago, asking him if he had known anybody about this, and he has no memory at all of who he is. That was the last time I ever saw Samurai Tyler 13 again. He went dark after that, and eventually the rebellion disbanded. I was clanless, didn't really have a clan. Then that's when I decided to make the Reach Rebellion an actual clan. I actually put in divisions, I put in ranking structures, and the Rebellion was a very successful clan at the time. Didn't really have that many training sessions. I mean, we were the clan where these other clans that we met in the future, one of which the Shadow Syndicate led by Ivy Rabbit VI, and the Crimson Company of Reach led by Crazy Juggernaut 96, which I think a lot of people in the community know. I had met them in a matchmaking game, and that's really where my name actually started to grow with people. They asked me, it's like, well, hey, are you leading a clan? And I said, yeah. And I told them what the clan was, told them how many members we had, and I exaggerated at the time, saying we had like 300 members, but in all honesty, I believe that the Rebellion only had about maybe at least a good solid 50 to 60 members, which was still a lot, but they were active on their own. Nobody was keeping tabs on who was in and who wasn't, because I was the only leader at the time. But they're like, okay, well, hey, do you want to be allies with my clan and my other friend, and we fight this other clan? I said, yeah, sure. And this was actually one of the first legit clan battles I went into, and it was actually against the clan known as Creed, led by Terrible Austin, or who is now known as Austin 64, who happens to be in my clan currently. But anyway, so we went to war with Creed, and yet again, my clan was one where the Crimson Company and the Shadow Syndicate basically call upon them to use us as cannon fodder. That's all we were. We were used on the front lines to basically charge at the enemy and die and be a distraction, while the actual skilled players of these other clans went in and tried to get into the base. And yet again, this was at the time where it was the standard team-based raids, red versus blue, 8 snipers on each team, spawn killing, Goss hogs like no other. So really kind of like in the earlier stages, but it was progressing through. So this war with Creed raged on for I don't know how many months. I mean, it led into the early stages of 2012. Then it kind of died down, and my rebellion clan, it ended because members were, kind of getting bored. I mean, they said they needed change. A lot of them are leaving for other clans, these such as Fleet Com, Department of Defense. These other like massive, well-skilled clans, in my opinion at least, including the United Nations and the United Union Federation, because these were the big clans at the time, along with the UAF and many other clans out there. That basically at the time my name was just on the outskirts. Nobody knew who I was yet. Only these other clans that nobody else really knew. But so then I made a clan called Wolfpack, one of the most overused names for clans ever. Once again, this had ranking structures at divisions, and this time I had a co-leader, McBreen13, who is still a very good friend of mine. The clan only lasted about, I would say, 2 or 3 months until it officially ended. I mean, we were at another war with Creed, and it failed miserably. My clan was completely shattered by Creed. Their forces were more skilled than mine. Yet again, I mean, was training nobody. I was all still about the fun within the game, wanting to do custom games, role play, stuff like that. I was still young when it came to leading. And eventually, around the time when Halo 4 was about to come out, the early days of 2013 and everything, of course, was still friends with Crazy Juggernaut, Rabbit, and all them, except their clans had moved on. Rabbit eventually, towards the start of 2013, he kind of went dark on his own, and I've never seen him since. Crazy Juggernaut was kind of being a little clan jumper, if I could say, and starting multiple clans. After his major success, the first generation of Crimson Company sort of came to an end. he made a clan called NATO, which, yet again, there was another clan called NATO at the time, but he was saying that it was the actual one. Matter of fact, when Halo 4 was out and everything, and after Wolfpack ended, that was around the same time when I decided to make another clan. And this clan was actually my very first clan where we had our recruitment videos, we actually had proper training, ranking structures, actually good skilled members to a certain extent. We had a very good structure and really good organization there. And it was going great in Halo 4 during the beginning stages. And by that I mean, there was all the clans like, oh yeah, Halo 4, it's going to be great. And then eventually we all found out that Halo 4 was just a heaping pile of crap, pardon my French. Because the forge maps were too small, and 343 just kind of got lazy when it came to forging and custom games. And yeah, we continued on, and we went back to Reach eventually. We worked our way from there, and eventually my co-leader, Spartan Films is his new name now. I do believe it is. I can double check. But he chose to leave because he wanted to start up his own clan. And I had not realized the bond that he had made with almost 80% of the members within my clan, and they all chose to follow him, causing my clan's morale stats to drop heavily to the point where I couldn't do a thing about it. I had no skilled leaders. I had nobody to lead the divisions. I was only left with a handful of very unskilled recruits. So at that point, I ended the UFA, which the United Forces Administration, which is what I forgot to say it was. And from there, for about a few months, I kind of went leaderless. I had no clan to create. I was, in fact, joining clans left and right. I joined Crazy Juggernauts for a little bit, then I left that. There are some others I attempted to join, like the United Union Federation. I filled out an enlistment form, but I don't think they really paid attention to that much. And then I kind of called myself a veteran of the clan community, and I told myself I was done with clans. Well, as you can see, that was false, and it still is. And I realized I wasn't a veteran of the community at that time. Still, nobody really knew my name, knew who I was. I was just one of those who believed I was well known within the community, when in reality, I wasn't even known to a fourth of the community. So eventually, my very good friend, Alex Ultron357, who is actually within my clan, the Imperuim now, as El Friendzone, he was leading a clan at the time called the Dark Assassins. It was actually a very stable clan, had a lot of good members, and a lot of those members are actually now in my clan, and they're really good friends of mine. But he came to me because he had reminded me of this idea that I had in the past when I led the Reach Rebellion and everything, about all of our clans coming together to make one massive clan, the Imperuim. Except at the time, it would not even be based off of Warhammer 40k. Because I had no idea what it was until eventually towards the starting years of early in my freshman year, I figured it out and I started collecting. And it hit me. I realized, okay, I'm doing my research here. I'm collecting this Warhammer 40k items. It's called the Imperuim. There you go. That's my clan. That's the clan I'm going to make. And from there, I started beginning my expansion. I started telling my friends, saying, hey, making a new clan called the Imperuim Empire. If you want to join, message me. And it was a huge success. And this is actually where my leadership skills actually started going into effect, to where these were the days where I was actually still learning, but at the same time I was also following and seeing what these other leaders were doing, like the United Union Federation leader, the UN before it fell. All these other leaders, I was just seeing what they would do, how they ran their clan, the media power and everything. And I was really intrigued with it, and I loved how they would lead their clan, how strict their members were, how their officers were extremely effective, and that's where I wanted to be. And that's where I'm still trying to get, at least I believe I am, because I'm not there yet. But going forward, it's safe to say that the first generation Imperuim was a success, but at the same time, a colossal failure. And the reason why was because we had these other divisions. We were going off of the basic military ranking structures that the other clans use, like the private, the sergeants, all these other ranks, and especially for the divisions, well, the chapters now, but I called them divisions, such as the Blood Angels that I originally had. Excuse me, Imperial Guard. And as a matter of fact, I still have some of the old recruitment videos up that you can see from the first generation, showing you all these pictures. I was using Animoto to make recruitment videos on. So that's where I started making my own media, and I had to literally work my way from the ground up to get where it is now. But eventually, over a course of around maybe 5 to 6 months, the first generation Imperium came to an end because there was massive internal conflict. Many of the Primarchs, or the Inquisitors, which were like the government, the council, they left because they saw the mistakes I was making. And those mistakes were I was making decisions by myself rather than going to the Inquisition or my council about them first, which was a severe mistake of mine. And it's something that I learned, and it's something that I fixed. So the second generation rolled around of the Imperium about a week or two afterwards. And it was going very well. This was after, of course, I started, trying to make of other clans, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with Imperium again, give it another run, see how it goes. And this was probably, had I not known how this generation that I'm currently leading, how successful it's become, the second generation would have probably been the most successful by far had I not be leading this one, because it had more members than the first generation. There was more enforcement, more laws, better organization, better communication between the officers and the Primarchs of their chapters, which are the basically division leaders. And it was going very well. We had a lot of media. We were growing, gaining allies, and gaining a lot of reputation. And matter of fact, it was the second generation that my name actually got out there, because at first I met Therox My Socks, Z4 Bros. I went into a war with this clan known as Legendary Clown, which kind of sparked our reputation and caused it to grow because other clans were noticing this. It's like, hey, there's this clan out there called the Imperium. I kind of want to know a little bit more about it. Who's their leader? And they come to me and I inform them about it. Some of them thought, oh, this is a cool clan. We can be allies. Others, unfortunately, thought that they could try and take advantage of the Imperium and try and take us over. Well, 90% of these clans that thought of that, they failed. And notice how I said 90%, because Imperium has had its losses. I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm not afraid to say, we've lost raids, we've lost wars. We lost a war against Jai Spartan 006 when he led, I believe it was FedCom? I'm not sure. I'll have to double check on that with him. But matter of fact, we started the war with him, and we went into a death trap. We were slaughtered left and right. We were losing our bases. We were losing ground heavily. Morale was dropping. It was just one of those wars where we had to basically kind of regroup ourselves and be like, okay, let's not make that mistake again. And that's where we make the decision where, from now on, we will be that clan where wherever we see heresy within the community, and by heresy we see clans that are forcing these smaller clans who are trying to make a name for themselves, who are trying to grow up and be a bigger clan like these other clans they see around them, who are basically trying to force these smaller clans to merge into theirs. And if they don't, then they wipe out that clan. I find that to be very unnecessary, and I find it to be quite rude, to be honest, because I think of these other small leaders that are trying to make a clan. They remind me of me, where I was, trying to make my name out there, get it out there, and with all the hard work I put into it, eventually I did. That's where, also in second generation, this is where Austin64, leader of Creed, he joined in the clan. Zuru XEI No Sky, I forgot his original gamer tag, but he was in a clan called the Seven Seals. He was also in many Sangheili clans, including the RSL. He joined in. Same with Commando Shnu. All these other clan leaders had joined in. So the second generation, it reigned on for about a year. And in this year, that's where the political era, it's what I like to call it, started to come in. And this is where it's Marshak. You have all these meetings. Instead of talking about possible clan raids with people, they're political meetings talking about all these policies that have to be put into place, all caused by its Marshak and UAF director. And in my opinion, that is what has caused the community at one point to kind of decrease in its size, other than from other clans disbanding, splitting up, such as the Department of Defense, Fleet Com, all those. But it was this political era that caused the clans to, it's like, hey, this isn't really fun anymore. If we're just going to sit around and talk, then we're going to leave. And it was just one of those where, at that time, the community kind of started to, I'm not going to say die. I used to say that a lot. However, the community didn't really die. It was just kind of decreasing in popularity. It wasn't as much reputation, wasn't as much activity. And from there, I saw that these other clans were depleting, including the League of Nations, which was a huge one, in my opinion. Source UK ended his clan, the League of Nations, and then later on, he actually joined my clan, and he's currently still in my clan at this time. And it's just, I didn't understand what happened, and then I realized I don't want my clan to end up the same way these others did. So I decided to basically inform everybody that it was disbanding. But it wasn't. What I was doing, and I was putting my clan in a sort of stasis mode. And by that I mean when the Master Chief Collection for the Xbox One was coming out, because it was around that time, the Xbox One was out, these next-gen games, Destiny and everything like that was out, then if that came out and if it was as good as I hoped it to be, especially with the Forge mode, then that's where I would reactivate my clan. Well, over that time when the Imperuim was gone, I had a lot of people from my empire, they were hating me. A lot of people did not like my decision that I made. They thought it was dumb. They were asking me why, telling me I should restart it. And that's also where you had people like Wolverines653 at the time, UF something. That's what his gamertag was. I can't remember. But he... Oh.
Sorry, I'm just a big guy that really hates UAF Warlord. Or not UAF, UF Warlord.
Wolverine653?
Yeah. No, Wolverine.
Yeah. But he chose to try and recreate my clan. So I confronted him about it, and he said, oh, no, I'm not making your clan at all. Yeah, I'm seeing messages that are being sent through me in a kick chat, a photo of him saying, hey, do you want to join my clan, the Imperuim? This irritated me, but I controlled myself, and I didn't go back in and be like, okay, I'm taking my clan back. Because I knew it wasn't the time. And I'm not going to lie, I have had a strong dislike towards Wolverine653 myself. In my opinion, he's trying to get his act together, but in my opinion, he is still a very small leader. And by small, I mean he's one of those where he's more of a follower. He listens to anybody that makes the most sense to him. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'll follow these laws. Actually, I'm going to go follow these laws because they make more sense to me, and I think my clan will win the most raids with these ones. That's all he's about. He doesn't, and he doesn't even lead his own clan. I've seen some of his members. In fact, his officers are mainly the ones that lead his clan. Now, no disrespect to his members or anything, or his officers, but honestly, they have been doing a better job at leading Wolverine's clan, the Third World Army, than he has. But moving on from that side, after the Master Chief Collection came out, and after seeing all these bugs that it had in it and everything, I'm like, okay, well, this is kind of a setback. But I still went through with my plan. I restarted my clan, the Imperuim. It was the official 3rd generation. Yet, even though there was already some generations in the past, I don't necessarily count those because they weren't as successful in the same amount of time as the 2nd generation and the 1st generation were when I led them. But this generation right now, eventually I started out small, but a lot of people from the original generations who I believed were upset with me, they joined back. El Friendzone, he came back. He is now the Primarch of the Ultramarines. Excuse me. Then Austin64 came back, who was a Supreme Grand Master within the Dark Angels, which is a extremely high rank in there. I have Source UK, who he came back as well. He's a general within the Imperial Guard. I even have a clan leader known as Galactic Chimps, which some people may know. I believe many people may know, actually. He's a regimental advisor within my Imperial Guardsman chapter as well. many members from these other clans came in as well. Kavala, known as Frosty Galaxy, from Creed, other members from the League of Nations. At one point, we even had, when DGA finally came to its standstill and kind of came to an end, over half of the Marine division from the DGA actually merged into the Imperuim. Now, of course, some of them left because the general at the time, in my opinion, was one of the most uncooperative leaders there was. He was disrespectful to many of his superiors, disrespectful to some of the officers below him, and he was actually blaming it on me and blaming it on my members, which I found to be very disrespectful. So he left, but many of the DGA members stayed. So this generation, it's had a lot of changes to the structure, the organization, but at the same time, it's been quite successful. We've had little to no internal affairs at all. If anything like that comes up and it is dealt with almost immediately, instead of going soft on my members like I've done before, I ensure that I have a well-functioning clan, meaning if there's those people who like to cause trouble in my clan or commit treason, they will be removed immediately with a dishonorable discharge. And by that, they will be executed by an Astartes firing squad. Because I'm no longer going to be tolerating these people to come in and try and believe that they can cause corruption within my clan. We've had many chains of command being set up, especially for the Imperial Guard. There are multiple color schemes to represent what your rank is, whether you're a sergeant, an officer. We have squad systems set up. Our media is going back up to strength. As a matter of fact, this weekend I'll be posting an update video about my empire, seeing how it's going. The website is still going well. Unfortunately, I'm still using a Weebly. However, I can say that I am currently, due to the fact I just came out of a web page design class, I'm currently going through the rough draft and rough sketches of making a actual website for my clan, which I hope to be very successful sometime in the near future. I don't necessarily know when that will be finished, but it's in progress. So far, we haven't really had any major conflicts with people. Just recently, we had a few cultist groups, is what I like to call them, which are basically those who like to commit heresy and believe that they can get away with anything, and they just despise my clan for no reason. And eventually, we went to war with them, but these wars lasted about 1 to 2 days because the sheer force of my empire, basically, these cultist groups couldn't stand it. So we've been on standby for quite some time. We haven't been in any major conflicts. We did partake in the community meeting and discussing these new set of raid rules and community laws that are supposed to be formed, which in my opinion, some of the laws are good, but others I believe to be quite unorthodox, such as one of being a spawn killing can now be a pre-established rule when it comes to raiding, which in my opinion is just quite unnecessary. I believe that we should stick with the original community laws. No spawn killing, minimum sniper rifle, heavy weapons, whatnot, heavy vehicles. It just, in my opinion, it allows for more activity and a lot more fun within a raid. Because not only do I like to win raids, but I believe they should be fun as well. Which is also why I believe mods should still be allowed, within a reason, of course. I don't mean spam Gauss cannons at the spawn. That's totally unorthodox. So that is actually my story of when I started to become in this community to the point where I am now. So yeah, right now all I can say is at this time my clan is still running strong. Our member count is growing every day. We went from getting 1 to 2 recruits a day to about 5 to 6 a day.
All right. So we're gonna cover another topic, and that is basically, were you one of the first clans to be like the Warhammer based clan?
Many people have asked me this. That is a no. It's a yes and a no, because before the Imperium there was the clan the Blood Angels, led by B.A. Sanguinius. And at the time, in my opinion, I believe it wasn't necessarily towards the Warhammer part. His clan was just called the Blood Angels. He had divisions like the Marines, Air Force, Navy, stuff like that. But over time, he made it a proper Warhammer 40k clan. He based a lot of it off of the Blood Angels chapter. He started getting more in depth with how the Codex runs with the Blood Angels, the ranks, and whatnot. So really, in my opinion, the Imperium is probably the second Warhammer 40k based clan to actually emerge within the clan community.
All right. Now, a lot of other clans have basically been putting a bad name for Warhammer clans, and mainly that is the Ultramarines and the clan known as Blood Angels. What is your opinion on those kind of clans ruining the name for Warhammer clans?
In my opinion, well, of course, everybody has their own opinions, but I don't really take much effect towards this. I believe it's because these people who are uncomfortable, I'm going to say, with these Warhammer 40k clans in the community, they don't like the change. They don't like the difference. These are people which, in my opinion, they believe that the clan community should stick with the military base, have the United Union something or the United Forces something, something along those lines. And in my opinion, it's just people, I don't think people like change. They don't like the fact that our clans are different and how we run things is different. I don't think they like that at all.
All right. So, sorry. All right. So we're going to cover one topic, and that's going to be what was like the major war events that you have been in occurring like around the time of the. Oh, I can't say it again.
The Imperium?
Yeah, the Imperium.
Well, one of which, back in the early to mid days of 2013, was the major one, and it was against UAF Director. Later on known as WPX Director. Some people may know him, but he went dark now. I have no idea where he is. But this war, at first, he was, I guess, attempting to threaten my clan because supposedly we had been taking his members, which was false. We did not take his members at all. As a matter of fact, his men chose to join mine because they wanted to change. They wanted to, be in a new clan. He got upset with this and chose to assassinate two of my generals within the general party of the Imperial Guard. So not only did this it just fueled the fire for the war, but the war started almost immediately after that. He then started inviting us to all these custom games of different raids and whatnot, and over time, yes, these raids did last up to about 40 minutes to an hour long. He lost almost every single one of these raids, and I have the video proof for it. So, and this is also a time where the mods began coming out, like the first early stages of the mods, like the modded Falcon. You have the shade turret styles and whatnot, the machine gun turrets, the preset mods, and this is also where he started using the spawn points to put in the mods. Now, this was a failure on his part because not only did these spawn in the mods, but it also allowed for us to spawn into the base. So my men not only were spawning in the spawn zone, but were spawning in the base as well and attacking them inside. So eventually, after overpowering his soldiers from the sheer force that we had, and we still have, his clan kind of went dark. Then he soon joined the clan known as WPX, which at first was a fun group of people who wanted, to forge maps, play custom games, have fun in other games. He turned it into a military power, and he wanted to exact vengeance upon me. And this was also around the time when I started to get involved within these community meetings with Islayer Source UK, when he led League of Nations, Therox My Socks, Hierarchy Chia, or Legendary Clown was his original gamertag. But I brought up the topic about WPX Director, or UAF Director, and they all, they wanted to get involved as well. So they did. But these clans, if I go over to the DGA war between LN and DGA, it was a lot like that. The main clans that were focused in was the Imperium and the WPX, while these other clans, in the distance, they were sort of like they were the ones who would harass his members constantly and keep the pressure upon him, while the main fighting was between Imperium and WPX. And eventually, over time, WPX Director, after seeing that he couldn't fight anymore, he knew for a fact that if he continued to fight, he would lose yet again, over and over again, no matter how hard he tried. He went dark, and the war was won by Imperium. This was a huge victory. Later on, we had a war. Well, it was not necessarily a war, but you could call it one. It was against someone named Harakuchia, Legendary Clown, and his clan, the Hidden Ninjas. This war was more of like fighting constant rebellions, almost. Even though they had no part in the Imperium whatsoever, it was a group of unskilled members at the time. Now, Legendary Clown, right now, he was, in my opinion, he was a good leader. He knew what he was doing, yet his members were just poorly trained. A large majority of them were, which caused this war to come to a very short end with Imperium standing tall upon him. We basically just we crushed his armies, we crushed his raid bases. We would join his friends only games and attack him during meeting sessions. We were just basically piling on pressure and causing his clan to basically just kind of crumble apart. It did for a short time, but then the Hidden Ninjas, they rose back up, and we haven't had any conflict with them since. So, really, the Imperium has been in only 2 major wars. We've had smaller conflicts to the side of that with, I believe it was a clan called FedCom, led by Jai Spartan06, which was a loss, as I stated recently. We lost to him, and it was one of those where we had to go back and kind of rethink how we were going to do things. And then we just had these smaller fights between other clans. And then that's where we also came in to the point where the LN and DGA had their conflict, and we became one of those clans that kind of just harassed DGA while the LN had the main fight. So, yeah, the Imperium has been in some major wars, not the major wars that were involved with like the UF and these other clans, SOH, stuff like that. Not those types, but ones that revolved around the part of the community that the Imperium was involved in.
All right. So those are all the wars you basically stated. Now we're going to move on to one more topic or a couple more topics, and that is the UNSC community. Have you had any like conflict or run into like with the UNSC community besides FedCom?
Yes and no. There's been minor incidents where we have had small attacks during raids against other clans that we have fought. UNSC have kind of popped in here and there. Except they were on nobody's side. They were just there to basically get into the fight and join in the action and kill anything they saw other than their own members. That was also the time where I ran into Kurt Ambrose, leader of HighCom, which we didn't have any conflicts between each other, actually. I mean, we spoke with each other in a respectful manner. We weren't hostile towards each other. We were simply, his clan was one of those where we just kind of said, oh, hello, and whatnot when he ever came into a game. We never engaged him, and if we did, it was by accident, of course. He had matters of his own to attend to. But, yeah, there have been some small incursions with the UNSC, but not any major ones such as NavCom or anything like that. The Imperium has actually been kind of keeping away and keeping out of the UNSC community's business, because it is in our belief that we should not get involved with a war with any sort of UNSC community. As a matter of fact, we should stick with the current military community that we are in, or as of now, and to seek out these other clans that think they can do whatever they want and have any clan join them, rather than fighting any clan, whether they be UNSC or military.
All right. Now, basically, you stated that you basically hated clans that were trying to basically destroy smaller clans and like get them off like the board, right?
Yes.
Well, a lot of people have stated that UNSC clans have been doing that. Mainly, the Spartans have going into games constantly battling a clan until they just give up in total. What is your opinion on that statement I just said?
That's interesting. But like I said, the clans I'm referring to, matter of fact, I can give an example. Wolverines 653. This is a guy where all he wants to do is fight. And, he says he has all these wins, like 26-0. That's because he's fighting these smaller clans. He's not like the UNSC where they go in and fight these clans so they, just want to end and be gone like that. No. He's fighting them until the point where if they want to disband, he quickly comes in and be like, okay, hey, join my clan. Basically, he is literally trying to get them to merge. Now, the UNSC factor, really don't have that much to say about that. I mean, yes, it does involve them, it does involve them attacking these clans to the point where they don't want to go anymore. But like I said earlier, unfortunately, and this may not make sense to others, but my clan wishes to stay out of any affiliations with the UNSC community as much as possible, because we do not want any sort of past memories to follow us back, such as the colossal losses with FedCom. Because we know that if that was to occur, then morale would drop, and we would need to try and regain that group, which is a challenge in its own. But it's within my opinion that these clans that stir up actions with the UNSC are actually the ones who cause the conflicts to occur. It's not necessarily on the UNSC side, because from what I'm aware of, UNSC clans, they are, if one member of their clan is attacked by some unknown clan, they will attack that clan, no matter how big the force is, how skilled the members are, because they're trying to help out their clan member.
All right. So before we ask you the last question, is there anything else you'd like to state?
Um, yes, there's a few things. I would just like to state a few things about the past comments being given towards Century Director, or Century Executive, which is now his name. And in my opinion, I believe that these people that are making comments about how he's a terrible leader, how he has based his clan, apparently he's a Nazi and everything, I find it to be quite shameful on their part, because just like how my clan is different, that's exactly what Century Executive was trying to go for. He was wanting something that was different other than these other clans, which I don't understand why these other leaders don't see that. And in my opinion, Century Executive is quite a good leader. He knows a lot when it comes to political powers. He has a very good mindset of what he wants to do. He has led men well in the past. His media has been his media has been on point. And to be honest, I at one point looked up to him. I followed some of the structures that he had set up, such as not being soft with the members, ensuring that the clan is going through a strict authority, making sure that the officers know what they should be doing, ensuring that these officers don't abuse their power, but yet they lead the soldiers to the best of their abilities. And in my honest opinion, I have respect for Century Executive, as do I have respect for the past clan leaders, such as General JB and these other leaders that we do not see in the community anymore, just because of the fact that they were the ones, in my opinion, that really brought this community together. They are, in my opinion, the quote-unquote the four founders of the community. So that's what I have to say about that. And if people wish to comment on my opinion about that, comment on my statements that I just made there, then honestly, that's obviously going to happen. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
All right. So I'm going to ask you the last question that I ask all our viewers, and that is, how do you believe that we can regrow the Halocline community to the way it once was during the golden ages, which was 2010 to 2012?
Well, one main one, which is something that I've always been concerned with, is what I've stated before, is enough of the constant assaults on these smaller clans. Because in my opinion, these clans that are popping up left and right, these smaller clans trying to make a name for themselves, if these are clans that actually want to have good leadership power, or wanting to form a strict structure other than just be monstrous warlords and try and fight everything they see, then I believe that we should actually give them a chance. Let them grow and see what they do. If, of course, they go down the wrong path and become, a power-hungry monster who wants to do nothing but just rule the community, then obviously we will end that for him. We will end that clan. But if there's a clan out there that wants to, be like FleetCom or be like DoD, and I'm not necessarily saying that to be exactly like that, but basically have the same structure, have the same organization, they want to help out within the community, get known, then I believe we should give them a chance, rather than having these other clans try and get them to merge into theirs. Because if we continuously get these other clans to merge, rather than going into matchmaking and finding people that aren't in a clan, then this community is just going to dwindle bit by bit. And eventually there's going to be little to no activity. I'm not going to say it's going to die, because this community, in all honesty, it can never die. It can just lower itself in activity. And another thing on that is, I believe that there should never be another political era again. No more of this, no more of the It's Marshak crap, pardon my French, but no more of these political meetings where we should have structures of diplomacy and all these different parties of governments and whatnot. Instead, these community meetings should be how they were before. I mean, have all the leaders get together and, talk about, like, the past, like, the wars they've been in and whatnot. And if, the clans want to have raids, and they discuss the raid terms, they discuss exactly what's going to go on with the war. That's how I believe it should be. And in all honesty, it's somewhat getting there due to the recent community meetings we've been having with these new raid laws, which, like I said, some of them are very good, but others are quite unorthodox. But it's kind of getting back to that state. We have these other clans out there that are trying to regrow. Such a clan, I forgot the name of it, but it's led by a clan leader known as Shaky Divine, which, in my opinion, he has quite the potential. I've only seen him briefly. I've been speaking with him through Kick. He seems to be a great leader, someone who is very cooperative. Basically, one of those other clans who I believe will help restore the community to how it once was in the Golden Age. But however, there's also that belief that it cannot be a golden age like it once was within the early community days, like 2012 and 2011. This is simply because that is in the past. What we can do, however, is create a new one, create a new golden age, new powers, new community, new leaders that are in the game now, and then it restarts itself. It's a course, it's a pattern. Once this community that has been formed with all these other clan powers, once that kind of dies out, then another set of clans will step in to take its place. Maybe. If it does, then in my opinion, it will be on a sort of a loop. As long as there are people in this community after my clan, after the other clans, after these clans move on and maybe die down or go dark, and these next generation clans come in, I am hoping that there is someone out there who has the same opinions as I have had, as Century Executive has had, the same ideas for this, especially as Shaky Divine. Because if that's not the case, then really this community will be is just a bunch of warlords and wannabe clan leaders trying to run around and do their own thing. There won't really be a community. It'll just be a bunch of clans that are unorganized and don't really know where to go. They just fight anything they see.
All right, is that it? I believe.
Yeah, that's really all I have to say on that point.
All right, you made a lot of great points during this video. I'd like to thank you for stating it. Now, basically, I hope that a lot of people actually view this video because you actually put a lot of good points out there that I enjoyed, and I'm pretty sure a lot of our viewers will. So yeah, I'd like to thank you for coming out on this interview.
Oh, no problem. It was quite a joy. As a matter of fact, when I got the message I was going to be interviewed, I was quite excited to see that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. Be sure to hit the like button if you guys enjoyed what Kingswell had to say. Be sure to subscribe for more content on the Halocline community. Once again, I'm going to say that I'm trying to help this community as well by creating these kind of channels for basically all these people that are unknowledgeable of the past and the future and basically the present. So anyways, guys, if you enjoyed, be sure to like this video, comment down in the description below on what you guys had to like, or what you guys want to say about what Kingswell's opinions are. And I'm pretty sure he probably might respond to some of them if he watches this video.
I will.
Yeah, I will. For sure. Alright, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you guys all later. Bye.